I'm Matthias.
And I'm Rosie, and we're the Pasture Pioneers. Stay tuned for a tour of our chicken coop.
When we started with our chickens, we decided to go with a dual purpose breed just because we knew that we would want to, we hatched some of our own, and so we wanted to be able to, if we had a bunch of roosters, we could go ahead and butcher those so it's not just wasted.
Some different things to consider when you're getting started with chickens, like what kind of coop you're going to use, where you put it, the layout of your land matters. You don't want your coop by the woods. You want your coop somewhere convenient so that you're gonna have to check on them daily, feed them, water them, all those things, collect eggs. And you also want to be mindful of predators too, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first, this is where we've decided to put our coop. We've conveniently placed the garden beside it. You can kind of see it there in the background. So whenever we come to check on the chickens, we're always walking past the garden. This is the best place for the garden. Not my favorite place, but given the layout of our land, this is what worked best. So we're always walking past it. That makes it very convenient too. But this coop is the hub for our fencing system, the hub for basically how everything else works.
Yeah, and we store our feed in there for our pigs or chickens, minerals for the sheep, any extra stuff like that. We store it in here.
So let's show you what that looks like.
So we use our chicken coop for a couple different things. We have our feed storage in here, and then I'll also set it up in when we either hatch out our own chicks or we have our meat chicks, and I'll set it up like a brooder. Just section off a section here, and then it works really well for that. Just for while they're young enough, they need extra protection from the outside, and then we'll just keep them in there until they're old enough to go out.
So in here, we actually have our chicken coop and our sheep fencing. It is all off-grid. We use solar panel here. It's on the chicken coop, runs off this battery, and it energizes the fence for us. So it's completely off-grid. This battery also runs our chicken door. And so we can set when it comes down and when it goes up in the mornings. Super helpful to not have to worry about closing them in at night or letting them out in the morning. And then we've got some nesting boxes, and then this is a clever idea my husband had. This catches the rainwater from the roof of our chicken coop, and it is an automatic waterer for the chickens.
So with our automatic water that we've got with our barrel, we don't get like severe winters here, but there's only been like this last winter, I can only think of like maybe 1 or 2 times where I had to actually go in and empty the barrel, just shut it off, because I knew we were going to get a really hard freeze. But other than that, it's never really froze up. Like it's just not much of an issue. So something we've experimented with is deep bedding in our chicken coop, and right now it really needs redone and dealt with. I just haven't done anything with it recently. But in the wintertime, something we've done is put in like lots of sawdust, old hay, even wood chips can work. But like if you just add things to it and continue to, instead of like taking it out and changing it, instead of you just add right on top of it, and it can get up to like 4 or 6 inches deep, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And one of the benefits of doing that in the wintertime is it'll actually start to decompose, and when it does that, it starts to heat up. And so it can actually, I've noticed a significant difference when we walk into our chicken coop and in the middle of the winter, and I've got this deep bedding, that it will actually be a lot warmer inside the coop just from it. I mean, there's multiple factors, but one of those factors is the deep bedding. It adds insulation, and it's also adding heat coming up from the ground. So in the spring, what I tend to do is then take out that deep bedding, and I'll pile it up outside and let it break down some more. And that's like really, really beneficial for your fields, your garden. So we use it on our garden. And if you can collect that manure in that way, that can be a really good source of nitrogen.
So one of the things that I really like about the deep bedding system is it helps a lot with the smell. Someone asked us when I put out a question box on Instagram, is the poop really that bad? And the truth is, it's really disgusting, the poop. But when you practice the deep bedding method, It's really manageable, and like walking in here, there's not a noticeable strong smell at all. Also, by practicing the deep bedding method, it's less work. We have to muck this out way less than we would otherwise. In addition to all of this, what also helps is that our chickens free range. So they have access to about 90% of our property. And as a result, they're not in here pooping, they're out there pooping. So it helps spread the manure out. The most they're in here would be on hot days like this. And in the wintertime, they tend to be in here more. As Matthias mentioned, the deep bedding heats up in the wintertime. So they're nice and cozy in here and more comfortable. In our experience, our chickens have actually been eating ticks. So I rarely see ticks on our kids here. I didn't realize chickens ate them. It was my understanding that guineas would eat them, but not chickens. But I could probably count on my hand the number of ticks I've pulled off my kids this spring and this summer. So we really like that part of having them free range the whole property as well.
So while we were filming, we heard a chicken egg roll down. Look at that. Look, it's still warm. So one of the things that we have, one of the downsides of having like a chicken coop where it's permanent is your chickens always come in one area. So for instance, I'll turn you around here and you can see the ground right in front of where the chicken coop, where they enter, it's always bare. And it tends to be that way if you have a lot of traffic. If you have a mobile the bare ground is something that we try to avoid, but obviously with having a permanent coop like we've got, they always come in the same area and they scratch around in it and they tend to just leave the soil bare. So we have our perimeter fencing is electrified, but we can also, it's kind of somewhat temporary, so we can move it around. So I've tried to shift it at times to where the traffic is more directed in a different area, and let the ground rest at other areas. And essentially, the more rest you can give an area before you bring it back on, the better.
To keep predators out, one of the ways we do that is through our electric fence netting. You run it at an extremely high amp.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong charger.
So anything that touches it is immediately going to be zapped and not want to come in and steal our flock. We have not had a lot of issues with hawks. Owls come out at night, so that's not an issue here either. Foxes, possums, weasels, these things are going to be deterred largely by the electric netting. So as long as that's functioning and it is popping at that rate, we haven't been worried. We also have a livestock guardian dog, and we've always had a guard dog on the property. I think this really helps deter coons and other, those other smaller predators that would go after chickens. So with that in mind, it's not been an issue here, but that's something else for you to consider as you're getting your flock set up, your coop established, and so forth. So we do keep a rooster, and I know that's not always a popular thing to say. We always kind of maintain that he will be chicken dinner if he attacks one of our kids. We do have 5 children. He has insane respect for our 2-year-old. And so for now, it's great. He keeps the hens happy. He helps protect them.
Well, obviously, if you want to hatch some of your own chicks, you're going to have a rooster.
Yeah, that's another reason.
And he tends to, I've actually seen him, like when there's danger that comes around or he thinks is danger, he starts plucking at them and they start running to the coop. So that's a benefit of having a rooster.
We do enjoy hatching out our own chicks. We've done it at least once a year. The kids love it. It's kind of like a science experiment. But it also means, we could be more particular, but you could control your own genetics. So we actually have a couple chickens that are crosses between Americana and Rhode Island Red. Most of our chickens, I would say, are crosses. I don't think we have any more purebred Rhode Island Reds anymore. But we love them. They're great. We have 11 hens, and we get an average of anywhere from 6 to 9 eggs a day, which is perfect for our family. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, we would so appreciate it if you would hit the like button or leave a comment of something you'd like to see here. We're not experts by any means, but we want to share with you guys what we've learned in managing 2 acres and raising a lot of our own food here.
See you on the next one.